Hello and welcome back to this podcast called The Spirit of Cricket, brought to you by Daffy News. Once again, the band is back together. It's been a while, Dom, Liam, all well?
Yeah, man, all good. All good. Good to see you.
The big question, I think everyone, at least where I am, is asking, is this India's World Cup to lose, Dom?
Yeah, I think you have to say that. I think we're at a point now where it feels staggering if India didn't win it. I mean, I think the only scenario I can see where India don't is if South Africa get to the final and their top and middle order go big. They bat first and go big, and set India like 340, 350. Then I think in that scenario, South Africa give India a really good game. The only problem with that analysis is South Africa have been bowled out for 83 by India the other week. So and again, that was chasing, that was batting second, but they would have to kind of put that to the back of their minds. And then, of course, we are also asking South Africa to win a semi-final against Australia, which, South Africa in high-pressure games like that in major tournaments don't often go great. So, yeah, I think if there was one scenario I can see India not winning it, it's that if we get like a class and masterpiece in the final. But otherwise, I think, it's a clear runway to land on for India, this really.
Liam, your thoughts? Because all said and done, okay, home advantage, very, very tough to beat this team at home, but they've never gone into any knockouts 9-0.
Yeah, I think my heart's hoping Australia, can pull off maybe not a miracle, but a surprise result. But it's definitely India's World Cup to lose. They've been dominant across 9 games, and I can't see that stopping in the next 2.
Yeah. Let's then get straight into Australia. You know, they lost their first 2 matches. At least over here where I am, a lot was being said, oh, look, they don't have it in them. They're jaded. They've got the wrong players. Absolute nonsense, because they've won 7 in a row. Liam, that is sort of what Australia typifies at a World Cup, right? You really cannot write them off. They may start off poorly, but when they get things together, despite having, if I can use the term, a couple non-performing assets, they are right in there in the semi-finals.
Yeah, well, of course, they've got a very experienced squad, guys that have been there and done that on the international stage, white ball and red ball cricket for a long time. Some of them maybe haven't performed where we would have expected them to, but I think, guys like Adam Zampa and Glenn Maxwell have maybe papered over the cracks a little bit. I don't think they've been overly impressive, even though they have won 7 in a row. I think there's still some issues there, and if they beat South Africa, I would imagine they would get found out against India. But they've done well to get this far. There was a lot of negative press back home after those first 2 games, but they've done well to turn things around, and they do have the experience factor, so you can't write them off just yet. But I'm not overly confident in their chances of lifting another trophy.
Honest response. What about that knock from Glenn Maxwell? I mean, many have called it the greatest ever. I'm not sure, because I never saw Kapil Dev's 175 not out. I'm not saying it from Indian perspective, but when you need to win a match and you're 17 for 5, not chasing, but things like that just don't happen. I mean, they were 91 for 7, chasing 292, which at the time probably looked like 492. And then on one leg, or half a leg, whatever you want to call it, Maxwell goes and does that. Where do you rank that innings, Liam?
Oh, it's certainly the best I've seen in my 25, 26 years. But yeah, it was just incredible stuff. Where they were and the amount of momentum that Afghanistan had in that game, Australia were no hope. They were gone. And for him to pull off that essentially by himself it was pretty incredible stuff. And to think that, only a week and a half earlier, he hit the fastest ODI century in history as well. So he's had a pretty good tournament by Maxwell, including his little golfing accident. So look, it's all well and good to do it in the group stage, but the likes of him and Dave Warner are going to have to stand up in the semis and potentially the final as well.
Dom, have you seen something as outrageous as what Maxwell pulled off? 200 in a chase, with Pat Cummins scoring 12 off 68 balls in that partnership?
Yeah, I mean, I do think a really nice element of that partnership is Pat Cummins, a guy who likes to play shots and can bat, just really batting within himself and going, right, I'm just going to get out of the way here because Maxwell is on. That's the best I've ever seen. And I think, obviously, Glenn Maxwell's a guy that we all love watching, but I think, and there's an element of it with the Big Show nickname, you sort of think, often on the big occasion, it's like maybe he doesn't produce, but that's like, you can take that to the bank now. That is like an immortal innings that he will always be associated with. I can't think of anything I've ever seen that remotely compares to it, mainly because, I mean, I think people will look at this innings in sort of 10, 20 years and go, oh, right, it's against Afghanistan. But Afghanistan in this tournament, particularly their bowling attack, so varied, so skillful, it's a hell of a knock. I mean, you look at the games Afghanistan have won where they've, so the England one is one example where they've like got a team wickets down in the middle order and just strangled them. And for Glenn Maxwell to pull that out of the bag, I think a lot of critics of the World Cup, this World Cup's group stage, will say a lot of it won't live particularly long in the memory, but that innings absolutely will.
Liam, very quickly, because we're out of time, who do you see going the distance from these 4 teams?
I think India 100% make it through to the final. Flip a coin between Australia and South Africa. I'm going to lean towards the Aussies, but not by much. But I think this, as we mentioned off the top, this is India's World Cup to lose, and I can't see that happening.
Dom?
Yeah, I think it comes down to now, it's not just winning a World Cup, it's winning a World Cup with a perfect record of 11 out of 11. It's not do India win it, it's how convincingly do they win it. Whether that's good for the game of cricket overall, that we feel like we've got such little jeopardy going into the Final Four, that's another matter. I mean, it's really, really hard to see past them. It's a fine team. The new ball bowlers, Shami and Bumrah have been unbelievable. It's so well balanced. It's the perfect team in the perfect conditions for them. So yeah, they've got to bring it home now.
Yep, absolutely. It is the conditions. I said this in many, many shows before the World Cup. India will really have to play poor cricket to not walk in the semifinals. Exactly of that. They have cracked the ODI template when it comes to playing at home. And there's a reason why only one team in the last 8.5 years, that's Australia, Liam, that's managed to come here and win just twice. No one else has won. So for me, it would be a fitting finale if it were India and Australia. But that's the show for a different day. Thank you, Dom. Thank you, Liam, for watching. On behalf of everyone at DAFA News and the Sporting News, this is Jamie Alter saying goodbye, take care, goodbye.